We bought the house in the spring. Old place, cheap. The realtor said the previous owner had left in a hurry. We didn't ask why. The first night we heard scratching inside the wall, not in the attic, inside the wall. We lay there. My wife said it was mice. I said probably. We told ourselves that until we fell asleep. The next night it came again, same time. We'd left the lamp on. I watched the wall, nothing moved, but the sound was there, like something dragging, then like nails. We bought traps. We set them in the attic and along the baseboard. Nothing got caught. Nothing. The scratching kept coming. Every night, 3 a.m, I'd lie there and count the strokes. Sometimes slow, sometimes fast, like it was answering something. One night I tapped on the wall. 2 taps. The scratching stopped. Then it tapped back. 2 taps. I didn't tap again. We called a pest guy. He cut a hole in the drywall. The space behind it was wrong, too deep. It went down, not just into the attic. He said he wouldn't go in there. We had him seal the hole. That night the scratching was in the ceiling, above our bed. We moved to the couch. Then we heard it under the floor, in the crawl space. We didn't open the hatch. We didn't until one night I went down. An old woman. She was scraping the wall with her nails in the corner of the basement. I shone the flashlight toward her and called out, "Mrs., what are you doing here?" She swayed left and right, let out a long moan, then spun around and charged at me across the basement. I don't know how I reacted in time, but I got out and slammed the door, then shot the bolt. The door shook from the blows, her furious moaning, her nails scratching the door on the other side. I stood there, numb, couldn't move for fear, just stared at the door. After a couple of minutes, everything went quiet. We put the house on the market. We told the realtor I had got a job in another state. We handed over the keys and left. I think she knew exactly what kind of house she was dealing with. She didn't let on. I still dream about tapping on the wall and something tapping back. My daughter was 4. We'd just moved into the apartment. The landlord handed us the keys and mentioned that the previous tenants had left in a hurry. Some things still in the cupboards, he said. We could throw them out or keep them. We didn't ask why they'd left. The place was cheap and we were tired. Her room was at the end of the hall, with a window on one wall and an empty corner by the door where we never put any furniture. Within a few days, she started talking to someone she called Bobby Teeth. We told ourselves it was an imaginary friend. Kids have those. She'd look at the corner of her room and laugh, say he was funny. We'd ask what they were talking about. She said he told her stories. We asked what he looked like. She said he had a big smile, too many teeth. We didn't like that. We asked her to draw him. She drew the same thing every time. A tall shape in the corner of the page, and a mouth that took up too much of the face, wide and full of teeth. We told her Bobby Teeth wasn't real. She said he was. She said he was right there. Could we see him? We looked. There was nothing. Just the empty corner, the wall, the light from the window on the other side. We took her to the pediatrician. He said it was normal, that children her age often had imaginary companions, and that we could close her door at night if it made us feel better. We started closing it. We didn't always remember. Some nights we were too tired, or we left it open a crack so we'd hear her if she called. One night I woke up. I'd heard something. Not a cry, not a word. Something like a whisper, or like someone moving. I got up and went down the hall. Her door was open. I looked in. The nightlight was on by the bed. The window was on the far side of the room. In the corner by the door, the one she always pointed to, there was a shadow. It didn't match the light. It wasn't cast by the nightlight or the window or anything in the room. I stood there. I didn't move. The shadow moved. It stepped out of the corner. One step toward the bed. Toward her. I didn't think. I went in, leaned over the bed and picked her up. She was warm, still asleep, her head against my shoulder. I backed out of the room and closed the door. I stood in the hallway with her in my arms. I didn't open that door again until morning. At breakfast, she said Bobby Teeth was glad I'd seen him. She said he doesn't like to be alone. We moved that week. We didn't explain to the landlord. In the new place, she asked when Bobby Teeth was coming. I said he wasn't. She said he was already there and looked at the corner. I still don't let her sleep with the door open.
We bought the house a few years after the previous owners died. An elderly couple, the realtor said. They had lived there for decades, led a very reclusive life. Hardly anyone in town knew them. Not even the neighbors had much to do with them. We were both past 50. We both work from home. I'm in the study upstairs. She's at the table by the window. The house was warm. Quiet. In the evenings, we sat with tea and didn't feel like going anywhere. We stopped going out for walks without really noticing. It was raining, or we were tired, or we'd say tomorrow. Tomorrow turned into the day after. Then we noticed we were putting off the grocery run, too. Will you go? Better tomorrow, no time today. The list sat on the table. The fridge got emptier. We pretended it was fine. One day we looked back. We'd had almost no proper food for a week. Instant noodles and whatever was left. We had to go. I got up, walked to the hall, put my hand on the door handle, and it hit me. Not fear, a heavy, dull wave. Weakness, my head buzzing, my legs like jelly. As if my body had said no and wouldn't let me cross the threshold. I took my hand off. I told my wife. She tried herself, went to the door, touched the handle, and stepped back. Same thing. We stood in the hallway and looked at the door. We hadn't left the house in over 2 weeks. We didn't understand what was happening. We tried again the next day, and the next. As soon as we made up our minds to step outside, the weakness came before we even touched the handle. Nausea, darkness in front of our eyes. We had to sit down. We looked it up online. Panic attack, agoraphobia. But we weren't afraid to go out. We just couldn't.
One day, my wife went up to the attic to sort through the previous owner's old boxes. She brought down a stack of newspapers, local news from years ago. There was an item. The elderly couple who had lived in our house had been found dead. They hadn't been seen for months. Cause of death? Malnutrition. They had starved to death without crossing the threshold. We read it and understood. We called people we knew. We called emergency services. My wife was crying. I was saying we couldn't get out of the house, that something wouldn't let us. They didn't believe us on the other end. We held hands and walked to the door. We decided we'd go out together. She stepped out first. She crossed the threshold, and she was on the porch. She made it. She turned and held out her hand. I followed. I put one foot over the threshold, and my legs gave way. I fell. Half of me outside, half inside. She grabbed my shoulders and pulled. I was too heavy. And the house was pulling me back, not with hands, with something inside me. I crawled back in. She stayed on the porch. I told her to go, to bring someone. She didn't want to leave me. I said it again, go, otherwise we're both stuck here. She left. I closed the door from the inside. I don't know if she'll come back. I don't know if I'll still want to leave when she does. The house is very quiet, very warm. Sometimes, I think it's easier to just stay.